Mumia Abu-Jamal interview, part 2. This is the prologue, his biography, and epilogue on China Rising Radio Sinoland. Note before starting, this post's audio and video podcasts are in 2 parts. Part 1 is our 25-minute interview. Part 2 is a reading of my prologue, Mumia's biography, and epilogue, which is following. Here's the prologue. It is hard to describe what has transpired with Mumia Abu-Jamal since 6 June 2020, when I sent him my first message via his prisons for profit, quote, email, end of quote, system. Like an uninformed goober, I sent him hyperlinks to my website and books, only to learn that Mumia is completely cut off from the internet. This, quote, prison connect network, end of quote, is the only way I could communicate with him, and to stifle the exchange of information, you can only send 2,000 characters, not words, characters per message. That's like 3 paragraphs at a time, and it costs money for each message. Not only that, but it's crap quality, like using Microsoft DOS 30 years ago. I learned quickly to copy and save all my messages, since half the time I have to start over as the system crashes frequently. The vendor, GTL, must pay some handsome sunshine bribes to get this contract for concentration camps all over the USA, charging monopoly rates for prisoners to telephone and be called by loved ones. For friends and family members struggling to put food on the table and pay the rent, it's a vexing situation. Thus, our now 4-month-long journey to work together through this dog-end messaging system began and continues. Including our interview, I have 25 pages of communication between us. Through it all, I am humbled and inspired by Mumia's infectious good humor and unswerving optimism. He reminds me of one of those tall inflatable figures that have rounded sand-filled bottoms. No matter how hard you push, hit, or kick them, they always pop right back up. For me, that's a perfect metaphor for Mumia. He frequently puts a music note symbol at the end of his messages, like he's singing a happy song. Yet here is a man who has sacrificed his freedom for a cause, the revolutionary ideals of the Black Panther Party, his support for Philadelphia's MOVE, M-O-V-E, and their collective fight for socialism's vanguard party, all power to the people, self-determination, and to serve the people. He is a political prisoner trapped in the USA system of private concentration camps. Framed for a shooting that appears to have been a setup, Mumia has been on death row, held in solitary confinement for many years, has to hire lawyers to get life-saving medical care, and other than this aforementioned messaging system, phone calls and prison visits across thick plate glass, he has been cut off and incarcerated since 1982, when he was only 28 years of age. Today he is 66, 6 days older than me. I feel lucky to have lived and worked with the Chinese people for 16 years. It taught me a lot and changed my life. However, at Mumia's same age, I feel just as fortunate to have recently learned about the Black Panther Party, the BPP, its amazing history of courage, conviction, and the countless members who have been government assassinated and illegally held in U.S. concentration camps since its founding in 1966. As a result, all this knowledge and understanding has changed my life's perspectives just as much as my time living in China. At the same time, over the last 4 months of struggling to communicate via the rinky-dink prison messaging system, through it all, across oceans and continents, I feel like I've made a friend and revolutionary comrade. Since we are the same age, we can stay in touch into our senior years, wherever we may be. Hopefully Mumia finally being liberated from the USA concentration camp system. My next return back, I would be honored to go meet him in Frackville, Pennsylvania, USA, to talk across that thick sheet of glass and eventually share a good Chinese meal upon his liberation. It is a great honor and privilege to introduce Comrade Mumia Abu-Jamal to all the friends, fans, and followers of China Rising Radio Sinoland across planet Earth. I hope you will share this post and its audio/video podcast widely. I will also include a downloadable PDF file for easy distribution to bring more pressure on the USA injustice system to liberate him from his illegal incarceration as a political prisoner of conscience. Sadly, there are many like him. After our interview, there is Mumia's biography. It has instructions to support his legal defense, as well as how to send him mail and books. And be forewarned, because I made this mistake, there are 2 different addresses and systems. I hope you will contribute to his cause. I sent him my China trilogy, my father's book about Civil War slavery, and 100 pages of off-the-internet articles. For the future, I have decided to help him overcome being cut off from the internet by staying registered and sending him via the messaging system texts of articles he might not otherwise see. Finally, there is also an epilogue with some extracts from Huey P. Newton's autobiography, Revolutionary Suicide, which really resonate from all my experiences with Mumia. That's the end of the prologue. Here is Mumia Abu-Jamal's biography. Quote, "The state would rather give me an Uzi than a microphone." Mumia Abu-Jamal. Mumia Abu-Jamal is an award-winning broadcast journalist, essayist, and author of 12 books. Most recently, he's completed the historic trilogy, Murder Incorporated, its 3rd volume, Perfecting Tyranny, coming out this fall to follow Dreaming of Empire and America's Favorite Pastime. Here is a quote, "Prophet, critic, historian, witness, Mumia Abu-Jamal is one of the most insightful and consequential intellectuals of our era. These razor-sharp reflections on racialized state violence in America are the fire and memory our movements need right now." By Robin D.G. Kelly, author of Freedom Dreams, The Black Radical Imagination. In the late 1970s, Abu-Jamal worked as a reporter for radio stations throughout the Delaware Valley. He was a staff reporter for WUHY, now WHYY, the NPR flagship station, and he filed nationally for All Things Considered and the Morning Report. Along with his team at Philadelphia's WUHY, he won the prestigious Major Armstrong Award in 1980 from Columbia University for excellence in broadcasting. In 1981, Abu-Jamal was elected president of the Association of Black Journalists, Philadelphia chapter. For the past 38 years, Abu-Jamal has lived in state prison. 28 of those years were spent in solitary confinement on death row. Currently, he's serving life without parole at SCI, that must be State Correction Institute, Mahoney in Frackville, PA. Abu-Jamal's 1982 trial and its resultant first-degree murder conviction have been criticized as unconstitutionally corrupt by legal and activist groups for decades, including Amnesty International and Nobel laureates Nelson Mandela, Toni Morrison, and Desmond Tutu. Abu-Jamal has earned overwhelming international support. His demand for a new trial and for freedom is supported by the European Parliament. He has been made an honorary citizen of Paris, France. Abu-Jamal earned his BA at Goddard College in 1996, his MA from California State University, Dominguez Hills in 1999, and an honorary doctorate of law from the New College of California in 1996. He is currently pursuing a PhD in the history of consciousness at the University of California, Santa Cruz. Here is more information about Mumia from the Black Philly Radical Collective. Mumia Abu-Jamal is a political prisoner from North Philadelphia. He attended Benjamin Franklin High School in North Philadelphia and joined the Black Panther Party in 1968. As the spokesperson for the BPP, Mumia targeted by the Philadelphia Police Department and the FBI, Mumia was targeted by the Philadelphia Police Department and the FBI for his activism. After the Black Panther Party dissolved, Mumia settled down and started a family. He became an award-winning journalist whose reporting on police brutality led then Mayor Frank Rizzo to threaten him. In 1981, Mumia was driving a cab in order to make extra money to care for his family. As he approached 13th and Locust, he noticed his younger brother involved in an altercation with a police officer. The police officer was killed during the altercation and Mumia was shot in the stomach. In 1982, Mumia Abu-Jamal was convicted of the murder of the Philadelphia police officer and sentenced to death after a trial that international observers say was unfair, unconstitutional, and racist. The judge presided over his case was famously quoted as saying, "I'm going to help them fry the N-word." Mumia spent close to 30 years on death row and came close to being executed in 1995 before an international outcry prevented it. The Philadelphia Fraternal Order of Police actively campaigned for his death. Mumia's death sentence was overturned in 2011, and he is currently serving life without parole. Mumia has always maintained his innocence. He is currently suffering from multiple medical ailments, including cirrhosis of the liver, caused by the prison's delay in treating his hepatitis C. He is 66 years old. He is presently imprisoned in State Correctional Institute Mahoney, SCI Mahoney. End of biography. Now the epilogue. Huey P. Newton echoed much of what Mumia Abu-Jamal has written, said, and how he conducts his life. This is taken from Newton's autobiography entitled Revolutionary Suicide, where Newton said, "My prison experience is a good example of revolutionary suicide in action, for prison is a microcosm of the outside world. From the beginning of my sentence, I defied the authorities by refusing to cooperate. As a result, I was confined to lockup in a solitary cell. As the months passed and I remained steadfast, they came to regard my behavior as suicidal. I was told that I would crack and break under the strain. I did not break, nor did I retreat from my position. I grew strong. If I had submitted to their exploitation and done their will, it would have killed my spirit and condemned me to a living death. To cooperate in prison meant revolutionary suicide to me. While solitary confinement can be physically and mentally destructive, my actions were taken with an understanding of the risk I had to suffer through a certain situation. By doing so, my resistance told them that I rejected all they stood for, even though my struggle might have harmed my health, even killed me. I looked upon it as a way of raising the consciousness of the other inmates as a contribution to the ongoing revolution. Only resistance can destroy the pressures that cause reactionary suicide. The concept of revolutionary suicide is not defeatist or fatalistic. On the contrary, it conveys an awareness of reality in combination with the possibility of hope reality, because the revolution must always be prepared to face death, and hope because it symbolizes a resolute determination to bring about change. Above all, it demands that the revolutionary see his death and his life as one piece. Chairman Mao said that death comes to all of us, but it varies in its significance. To die for the reactionary is lighter than a feather. To die for the revolution is heavier than Mount Tai. Our mother helped us see the light side in even the most difficult situations. This lightness and balance have carried me through some difficult days. Often when others expect to find me depressed by difficult circumstances, and especially by the extreme condition of prison, they see that I look at things in another way. Not that I am happy with the suffering. I simply refuse to be defeated by it. End of epilogue, and this is Jeff J. Brown signing out for China Rising Radio Sinoland. Thank you.